All right, guys, welcome to the live Q&A, which actually isn't live. I'm recording it live, but you're not seeing it live because I haven't posted it yet. But I still record it live, just so you know. Anyway, I hope you loved the video update last week, the member section. The live chat was great. If you haven't seen it, click on the link. Over on the, I think it's either on YouTube or it's here somewhere. I know there's a link to the live chat. You can see that as well. Let's get to the questions. We got a few. I might get disrupted here in a few minutes with the dogs barking because Janet is on her way home. She was out playing golf. I was here with the dogs. Michael says, Zaina, our 3-year-old shepherd dog, can hardly be tamed on the leash when she sees another dog. She goes into stare mode many meters beforehand and then on the leash behaves in an asocial manner. Off leash, she usually tries to dominate other dogs. It's a pain in the ass. Do you have any ideas on how we can proceed in a structured way, Robert? Best regards, Michael from Würzburg. So, Michael, what you need to do, again, you're going to have an area or a space or a distance where she is less stressed, right, or less in drive. And that's the place that you've got to focus on. Now, before you do that, you've got to make sure the dog knows good obedience, a good down, a good recall, a good look, anything like that, a good sit, some form of structured obedience. Then you must demand that in the presence of the other dog. Now, you can have treats with you, you can have a toy with you or something like that, but the best way is going to be to demand that without something like a treat or a toy, because you don't want to get her into what I call a ping pong drive. So in other words, she acts upset, you coerce her into to acquiescing, and then you give her a treat, and then she does it again to get the treat. The best thing to do is to walk towards the stressor, the other dog, and then boom, walk away. Correction, you can do that on a regular choke chain. You can do it on a prong collar. You can do it, I wouldn't use an e-collar in this situation, but I would walk her back and forth and back and forth. Then, once you get her to start to focus on you, you can ask her to sit at a distance. Break that distance down slowly, but it's going to take some time. If she's 3 years old and she's really in this crazy drive, you got to break it down slowly, but you must have the prerequisites of some form of obedience, a down, a look, a sit, or whatever it is. And before you apply that, you must do a movement back and forth towards the object and away from it at a distance that she's not incredibly stressed at. And I know you're saying many meters away, she's already acting stressful, but it's going to get greater and greater. The stress is going to increase as she gets closer. Find the level of stress where she's noticing and starting to associate the presence of that dog with her bad behavior, and that's where you're going to start to work on that. It will take time, I can tell you that right now, especially with a shepherd. Anthony says, Gaia is a 5-month-old black female lab. She's training well and is coming along nicely. When tied out, she has something to chew on, a femur usually, and her climb stand, I think you mean her climb stand, to be off the ground. If she hears me or sees me in the distance, she starts barking at me. I know going to her isn't the answer, but how do I get her to stop? She also has started eating her poop if she is tied out and goes, and I don't see it to clean it right away. Well, so tying a dog out is going to lead to those kind of behaviors. A couple things I would do. Right? One is I would try to walk her so that she does her potties on walks and doesn't have it there on a tie-up, because she's going to walk in it, and that's probably why she's eating it, maybe because she doesn't want to step in and get dirty, or she's missing nutrition. If you're giving her raw bones, probably she's not missing nutrition. If you're feeding her well, that's not part of it. She's just doing it because she's bored. Now, as far as her barking when she hears you, that's kind of a good thing because she's anxious to get to you. She's excited to get to you. What you can do is you can expose her to your presence more and more, and the more you do that and make no big deal of it, like you just walk up and walk away and walk up and walk away, you make your presence a non-issue, the less likely she's going to be that excited by it. But, tying a dog out always makes them a little bit more, it raises their level of stress to get to people, and that's why a lot of times you do tie-outs in some of the bite sports and stuff like that to build that drive. Gabrielle says, my almost 2-year-old lab keeps stealing things to chew on, such as pillows, blankets, and anything that's not in its usual place. I've been a member for more than a year, so she is fairly well trained and listen if I tell her to leave it before she takes it, but I'm not always there. I started training her with e-collar and she responds well. Can I use it? In order to teach her that she is not allowed to steal pillows and blankets even if I'm not around, how can I do it? Well, if you want to use the e-collar to do it, you can do it if you have a good relationship with the dog and you just kind of want to make things a little bit more aversive. But what you're going to need to do that, and the way I did in the old days was with a baby monitor, but nowadays you can do it with an iPhone, right? You can have a little Nest camera, or you can have 2 phones, and you can kind of set up a little video chat and just leave one camera in the room. And when she does it, bump her. And she'll start to see that that's an aversive, but you've got to catch her every time. So I would do it and then not leave her unattended where she can do it. In other words, if she figures out she's got the collar on and you're in the house and she's doing it and getting caught, she's going to soon figure out that when you're not in the house and the collar's not on, she's not going to get caught. So be real fastidious about it. Set her up for it a bunch of times. And when you're not in her presence, don't put her in goofy. Don't put her in a position to be able to do it and reward or self reward on it. So it's a tricky one, but it can be done. 2 phones or an iPad and a phone or something like that. Karen says, how do you get the dog to stop chomping on the toy, especially when playing fetch? I also have a 14-inch hard ball she plays with, teaching her to move with the nose, but she has a fit and wants to chomp on it. Can't, of course. So I think she's getting aggressive with it. So I have taken it away, but she really loved that ball. What would you suggest about chomping and teaching her nose work instead of bite? I think you mean nose work as far as pushing the ball instead of biting the ball. Of course, the dog can't bite the 14-inch. I think you're talking about the jolly balls. But the dog, more than likely you're dealing with a shepherd or a very high drive dog, and the dog is chomping on the ball because that's how they play. If I were to leave toys here with Goofy, he's actually here licking himself, then he would be chomping on those toys. It's just who he is. So I only introduce those toys when we're playing, when we have a structured game going, when we have structured training going. And that kind of eliminates the dog's ability to do that because they're bored or frustrated. And a lot of times that chewing, that chomping comes out of frustration. So take the frustration away and introduce the toys only when you're playing and when you're training, because then you can out the dog and make them do something else and start to focus on the exercise of training as opposed to the exercise of chewing on the toy. Keegan says, hey, Robert, when I train my dog with his reactivity, I engage with him before he sees another dog and call him towards me. And if he does see one, when he comes, I do a bit of tug. However, sometimes he doesn't come, and if I walk the other way, that sets his barking off. I've been doing the block method where I can bring him very close to a dog and do sits, down, stand, and stay, and he seems to respond well to that. Would that fix the problem or only fix it in the short term because I'm blocking him? I mean, if you're blocking him, like in other words, you're standing between him and the dog, you're not doing him any favors, right? Because that's going to eventually make it worse because you're going to have to get out of that position. I always make sure that the dog turns towards me. And if I'm walking away, the dog must follow me. He must follow me. That's the number one thing. Then I can start doing that, because always remember, first thing with reactivity, and a couple of you guys have reactivity issues this week. The key thing to reactivity is to create movement. So stress is relieved by movement in dog and any, I think most any mammals situation. So you need to move him, and then have him do it down and say, yeah, move him, and then do it down. The tug, what you're doing, is not a bad idea, because if the dog is excited, then the excitement can be released onto the tug. But if the dog is frustrated or in a dominant, aggressive way, then the tug is just building that frustration higher and higher. And if you're moving the other way and it sets his barking off, then you need to move him, and do some abrupt turns so the dog focuses back on you. You must get the dog's focus before you start working on getting the dog's rewards or obedience. But focus before obedience and before rewards. Alex, I have a working line German Shepherd along with a Mallee. Both of them are trained protection dogs, a Husky and a Pug. The first 3 have been together for years, and the Pug came along with my aunt about 2 months ago. They have been playing with and without supervision in this time with no problem. But 2 days ago, when I got to check them, I discovered that the German Shepherd killed the Pug. You already emailed me this. I answered this last week. So either Alan put it in there twice, or you didn't see the question. My girlfriend and I are scared, and I don't know what to do. We love her so much, by the way. I think she's in heat. If the dog is in heat, first of all, it's a tragedy. I'm very, very sorry you dealt with this. And I said this in last week's video, that if you have a German Shepherd, a Malinois, and a Husky and a Pug doesn't fit into that equation. So introducing new dogs into a current situation requires a lot of work, and you need to protect both your current dogs and your new dog. I would have done it through a crate. I mean, right now, we're kind of talking about the horse after the barn door after the horse is closed. It's a tough one. I mean, I'm sorry for what you're going through, but I don't know what you're going to want to do. I mean, I don't know. In other words, you're not really asking me a question. I feel sorry for what happened to you. It could have happened to anybody. But also, when you have 3 dogs, you introduce another dog. 3 dogs is a pack. That pack is going to be very, very temperamental to who they accept into the pack. And when you're not there, dogs definitely act differently. So, and if you have a question, maybe send it to me again. I don't know what your question is here. And I'm really sorry. Chris says, our German Shepherd is 2 years. With your help, she's become a great dog. He walks. He's become a great dog. Janet's home. Walks beautifully on leash, but I'm wondering if I could teach him to walk at heel without leash and use the e-collar to train him. He's high drive and does like to run after about anything that moves. He gets a lot of exercise off leash in the countryside and comes well when called. It's in town that I'm wondering about with his staying at heel when off leash. Never tried e-collar. I think that would work. Well, e-collar is a great tool, but it's not the end all. First of all, you don't want to think about your dog having a focused heel to get the dog to stay with you, right? Focused heel is not an exercise for a pet dog or even a working dog to do on a regular basis. It's only something you would really do in competition because the dog is looking up at you. You'd be on a field where you wouldn't be tripping over stuff, and there wouldn't be anything that would be coming in for like another dog or a person or anything like that. I mean, you might use long line work and e-collar work to get the dog to stay with you, but in a city, I wouldn't really do it because you just have, you get some little off-leash dog that runs across the street and your dog chasing gets hit by a car. I wouldn't suggest it. Don't do it. I personally would not do it. Lauren says, I have a 13-week-old female Malinois, and I'm looking for feedback on her exercise. In addition to puppy training and supervised play with older dogs, she gets 3 structured exercise sessions a day. 30-minute morning walk, 10-minute of lure chasing or ball drive building on grass, 30-minute evening walk. So I'm going to tell you, with a 13-week-old dog, it's a lot. It's too much, right? Be careful with all this chasing in 10 minutes. That's a lot of time for nonstop for a dog to be doing this. Do a couple minutes, give them a break. A couple minutes and give them a break. 30-minute walk, it's a long walk for a puppy, 13 weeks old, a lot. So you want to really just let the puppy be a puppy, take him for a little walk. A few little walks is better than a couple big walks. Okay, now your next part of the question. I never push her. She stops on a walk, I carry her home. Also careful not to climb stairs, jump on or off surfaces, or run on concrete, despite the caution, am I doing too much? Okay, so it eases my mind a little bit what you say here at the end, but still, just take it easy. Just go way slower. And if you're taking her to a point where you have to carry her home, first of all, you don't get in the habit of carrying a Malinois home because you're going to be doing it when she's 3 years old. Don't let her figure this out. So I would, in my opinion, taper down the walks, do a bunch of little 10-minute walks with her. She doesn't need exercise yet. You can start getting into that 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Right now, just have fun with her. Just let her be a puppy, do a lot of luring and shaping, build some relationship games with her, and that'll be your best friend. Okay, Ben says, hi, Robert, great program. Sir, I just got my 14-week-old Malinois pup a few days ago. After giving him a day to adjust to his new environment, we began your program. I've been holding treats and coaxing movement as demonstrated with Ziggy. That's a very good role model for you. When he was only 9 weeks old, my puppy is following the treat well, but he's nibbling my fingers to get to the treat. That, my friend, is normal. So I can only walk him around and pass him through my legs for a short period before nibbling gets the best of me. What should I do? Ben, this is the same thing I always tell everybody. You got a Malinois. And that's just what you got to deal with. You're going to be dealing with this for about a year. So hunker down, maybe invest in some gardening gloves, but that's just what they do. They're very mouthy. They're going to chew up your nails. They're going to chew up your hands. They're going to chew up your legs. That is part of the joy of getting a Malinois. But keep training. Keep training. Everybody goes through it. You're not alone, so you'll have a bunch of friends on the other side when you come out. Lauren says, hi again from Toronto, Canada. My 5-month-old Basset Hound has been improving around the apartment. No accidents, chewing, jumping, less when outside his crate or X-Pen. However, he has a hard time just chilling out alone. He can't chill out. He's only 5 months old. I continue. He either needs to be next to me or else entertained with food like a Kong, puzzle, lick mat, in the X-Pen, etc. He barks the second he's done and wants another. He will eventually fall asleep if I ignore him, but never just chills. Is this just normal puppy stuff? Totally normal puppy stuff. You've got a high energy puppy. It's a basset hound. It's a lot of drive. It's a hound. He wants to go hunting. That's just what you got. So don't overthink it, and keep the puppy, either confined or entertained or supervised by you. Michelle says, hi, Robert. Kai, my 5.5-month-old German Shepherd pup, has been improving with dog reactivity on walks. Dogs in their own yard no longer set him off. Good work. You're on the right path. However, I have noticed he has started to bark with his new big boy bark at things that he has been exposed to often, such as the neighbors talking in their yard. I've been working him through it, not making it a big deal. And that's the right way to do it. However, seeing people while he's in the car or me talking to someone in the drive-thru sets him off. How should I handle this while I'm driving? I'll be honest with you and tell you that Maya had the same issue. And what I did is I put a bark collar on her. So if he's got this big issue, first of all, I don't know what kind of car you have. Hopefully, if you have an SUV, put the dog in the back, put him in a crate, and cover the crate so he doesn't see it. It'll make it a lot easier. If he's just going off completely and he's getting stressed out with it, I would put him on a bark collar. Be careful not to have him free in the back seat and then he goes and jumps out, because the more he's getting excited, the more he's going to try to go after, whether to play or to bite, the other object. So if you have an SUV, put him in a crate. Even if you can put a crate in your back seat, you'd be much better off. Irene says, today by accident I saw my other dog's food and stole it from him. They immediately started fighting. I was able to separate them right away. They've never been aggressive to each other before, never been aggressive to me, never shown any signs of resource guarding, and always let me handle their food if I needed to. After separating them, I was able to pick up the food and they didn't care. They're both 9 to 10 months right now. I'm wondering if I should worry about this or if it's normal for dogs. And it's not, I'm just going to tell you, it's normal because you have dogs that are of the same age, right? So they're, when you get litter mates, as I always tell people, don't get two dogs the same age, they have this struggle for dominance. They're going to try to fight it out and work it out. This might be the first time, it might be the last time. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely the first time what you're saying, but it might not be the last time is what I'm trying to say to you. So my suggestion to you is build games and structure around the food. Put the food down, call the dog off, let the dogs eat, keep them apart when they're eating. Don't let them have that experience at this age. But 2 dogs the same age is a lot, right? You might consider feeding them in their crates or feeding them somewhere separately. I mean, I'm super dominant when it comes to anything like that. I would really jump on that hard and they wouldn't do it again. But you need to really build structure in, having them sit, putting the food down, releasing them, whichever one is the older. I mean, it's not that there's that much of a difference, but you decide. I would let the more stable dog eat first, and then the other dog who's being a jerk eat second. That's what I would do. I'm sorry, that's a tough one, but I always say don't get dogs of the same age. It's always, always, always going to be an issue. It's not if, but when. And I'm sorry. I mean, I apologize a million times for what I'm saying this because it's the truth, but you got to hear the truth. That's why you're here. That's why you're paying me a monthly fee. This is the truth. Whether you like it or not, whether you're going to quit your membership or not, whether you enjoy the membership or not, the one thing I know you're here for, everybody, is the truth. That's all I'm going to tell you. Ken, we had put our beloved friend Blue down this week, and the pain is almost unbearable. I found you on YouTube, and your podcast about grieving was an immense help. Thank you so much for what you do. That video has gotten so many good reviews, and it was cathartic for me. It took me years to do that video, by the way, years. And I still grieve. I was just sent Janet a picture of Bosman, a video of Bosman, and I still grieve about all my dogs I've lost. It's terrible. I joined because listening to you and watching your podcast are a comfort. Just watching you work with dogs is a comfort to us. I want to get another friend one day, but can't rush into this right now. How will I know when it's right? Lisa. Lisa's the next one. You're Ken. It's got extra space there. First of all, thank you for joining, right? And I think the thing you're doing, I never thought of this until you just said it, is quite cathartic, right? It's quite helpful to be a part of a community, and you should really try to be active in the community, in our members community, because there's plenty of people who can talk to you and all that. And you know what? I don't know when the right time will be, but you will know for sure. It will start to plague you, and you will know. And when you do, by being here and learning, more about training and behavior and interaction and all this stuff, it's going to make you the best dog parents in the world. So my deepest condolences to you, but thank you for sharing your story. And I would say you're going to see Blue again. There's no doubt in my mind that all my dogs who have gone, I'm going to see them again. I have no doubt about that. I'm sure as that as I'm sitting here today. Last question goes to Lisa, who says, my dog's focus heel is improving. How do you teach them to sidestep heel left to right? He can do forwards, backwards, and turns, but I have no idea how to shape taking a step to the side. I'm starting to shape to the left. I can move into him and have a wall close to keep him parallel to me. I think you mean like you're standing and then you move this way and the dog moves in with you. And the way to do that is just to move over. And what I'll do sometimes, I'll use a little stick, like a little riding crop I always like using, or a little piece of bamboo, like maybe a 2 or 2.5 foot piece of bamboo. And I move to the side and I tap them on the butt and I go, hey, come on, get in. And I just keep moving to the side, get in, and they'll get it. They get it really fast. If you want to do a really quick exercise before you do that, then I would teach them the brick exercise, which I show. I think there's a couple of videos on that. You can do it with a pasta pot. You can do it with a bowl. You have them standing on the top of like a food bowl, and you turn the food bowl upside down, obviously. And then you have them turning so that they get that heightened awareness, and then turn all the way around the bowl. And then when the dog's feet are off the bowl and you move, the dog just learns to be with you, because it's always going to be those hind legs are going to be the problem, but you'll solve it by doing that. So guys, that is it. Not a long video, but sometimes if there's only a few questions, which is happening more and more since you guys are getting more and more education, I will wait and not do a video on Tuesday and Friday, because if there's only a few questions, it's just not worth it. It's better if I can get at least a 20-minute video out of it. It's just more fun for you guys to watch. I've got to set up my whole studio to do it, which I would do anyway for you. But with more questions, it's always more fun. So anyway, guys, thanks for being here. I will see you really soon. Take care.